in order, please stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Motion to approve the minutes of the December 13th, 2018 Manistee Township Board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Support.
I'll support.
Moving support of the minutes accepted from December 13th, 2018 board meeting. All in favor? Aye. No opposed? We received a copy of the treasurer's report. Any comments? If not, place those on file. We've seen the accepted minutes of the December 6th planning commission meeting. Any comments? Need a motion to place them on file? Do we?
Just please.
No? Okay. Why can't I look at that? Well, I'm probably over here while that. There was no zoning board of appeal meeting. Anyone to bring anything before the board at this time? It's not on the agenda. If not, we'll move on for county commissioner.
All right, we'll give you a quick highlight of the December meeting. We had a couple of sheriff department employees, the one Ella Gannon and Brian Gutowski, they both were recognized for certifications they've achieved. They were recognized at our board meeting. The sheriff and the board, we've got preliminary numbers come in for the budget for the last fiscal year that were about $100,000 short, which is less than we projected. They have to take less out of the fund balance to balance it. That's the first time in many, many years that we've had to take and actually access any of the fund balance to balance it. But we had about a $300,000 expenditure out to the sheriff's department that it was not forecasted. So all things considered, and again, it's a preliminary number, we're doing well. We've got a contract in place with the Manistee County Community Foundation. They're for 2 years, so they're going to be where they have been, which is across the street from the courthouse. We do have 2 state troopers that are assigned to the community now, the county, and they have to live within a certain distance of their post, which is at the Oaks. So we have 2 there that asked for 6. We got 2. We hope to have more in the future, but at the moment we're happy we got the 2 that are actually assigned here. Had quite a report from the medical care. As you know, there's been a lot of issues going on out there. Currently, they've gone through and they've had a survey for their employees to see what they can do to increase communication between the management and the staff, and also discussion about trying to improve the facility. So we'll see where that all goes. They're starting to get to the point where they're dealing with the architectural firm. Trails Committee, we're going to be probably doing something with that at our January meeting that's coming up. Don't really know what we're going to. It does not sound like it's going to be a trail or a county recreation authority. It sounds like we're going to look at a committee of some sort to be determined, but they've got to have a clearinghouse that kind of crosses jurisdictions of townships. So for sake of discussion, let's say Cleon, Springdale, and Maple Grove want to get a grant for something, and they need a focal point to do that, as opposed to have 3 different separate jurisdictions. So we'll see where it goes. I've got the next trail committee meeting on my calendar, so I'm a little more educated on it when it comes before us at the board. If you've been seeing the paper, we're advertising for a new Indigent Defense Council, which is a, oh my God, I go brain dead on some of this stuff. It's not a prosecutor, it's public defender's office is what we have put in place between Manistee and Benzie County. You've heard me talk about this for the last several months. We're actually starting to move down that road. We've got a contract in place with the state. We're going to be fully funded for the increased cost of that office for the first year from the state. It's supposed to be in perpetuity, but it will not be, I'm sure. I'm sure they're going to start knocking off. The discussion at the moment is 80% for the following year, of the increased cost. We'll see where it all shovels out, but it's, theoretically, I can tell you I'm on board with it, it's a good thing. But again, it's one of those things that jumps the cost up significantly. As you all know, Drain Commissioner Ken Hilliard has stepped down from his position, and we accepted his resignation. Not that you really have a choice in the matter, but they are looking for a new Drain Commissioner. And applications are going in, and as I mentioned prior to the meeting, Judge Brenner, Jason Haig, the county prosecutor, and also Jill Novak, the county clerk, are the three-member board that makes that designation, or will pick that person that will fill that unexpired term. We do have a new veterans counselor, Eric Sullivan, nice young man, he's local. It's going to be a good day for the veterans office with him in place. We also signed the economic development contract with the chamber at a fraction of what we used to allocate for AES. That board has not been set yet, but it's in its infancy. It's going to be very soon, and we're looking to get a few other players at the table, but we've got a number there right now. Let's see here. Obviously, you folks are aware of the Hollander project that's being discussed in the city on the old Washington School project or property. So that's hopefully going to be moving forward. Been involved with some meetings on the new senior center. Hopefully that will get going forward also. The one thing about the senior center, the former St. Mary's, is with the existing senior center on River Street, they put up 52,000 meals a year. So they can't, there can't be this huge lapse. It's got to be like Friday you close one, and Monday you open up at the new location. So it's not an easy thing. They've got to get one ready to go, and it's going to take some money, and it's going to take a little time also. As you probably read in the paper, after the organizational meeting, I'm still chair. Brooke Schaefer has left the commission. Gene Lagerquist has filled that seat, and Gene Lagerquist will be the representative to the road commission, as these gentlemen know. I'm going away from that because I'll be on the economic development board, and also I'm on the local revenue board now also. So I guess that's kind of the 10,000 foot view.
Question.
Yes, sir.
An assistant for the county plan. That was budgeted for this year?
I don't know, Bob, is that the correct term?
Well,
He has budgeted money for one full-time, and he also has budgeted, obviously, because Tamara is working for him also,
As zoning administrator for the city.
for the city,
Right.
correct. So no, he does have money, and we are looking for, I don't know,
That was my
Bob,
question.
you probably know more about it than I do.
Well, he hasn't hired anybody yet, but assuming he's taken, I'm gonna find out at the end of this month, but I'm assuming he's interviewing people, at least, hopefully. I guess the term is as good as any, planning assistant, that works hand in hand with him, the overflow in the office, but I guess time will tell to see what actually takes place right now. As you guys are more than aware, is they're moving into they are moved in to the new facility, and they're kind of a little mess trying to keep the everyday job going. Plus get everything organized, so I took a little walk around there the other day with Nancy, but it's gonna take a while to get on course, but I'm sure, Rob will do the right thing, he'll get somebody good in there, so.
Thad has told me that the contract, the work that's being done for the city is getting done very well. He is
Good.
extremely happy with the process so far. Because like I said before, if we're gonna chew it, we better chew it well before we try to bite off anymore. So we let the dust settle from this, we get that other person in office, and then if things are still going well, then we can go out to some of the
Take
other
on some
municipalities that want to contract with us, we'll be able to, so.
I think there's gonna be I hate to interrupt, but I think there's gonna be a lot of interest in a centralized administrator, I really do,
I do too.
because it makes total sense. Because dealing with the state is, well, I don't wanna say too much more of it.
Well, the zoning is one thing, Bob, when it comes to building,
Construction,
that's
that's
a whole nother.
Oh, yeah,
animal.
yeah,
We have experience with that.
sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the Commissioner? Congratulations on your reappointment.
Thank you, I think.
Guy, you got anything going on in your office?
Well, it has slowed down, but there were no new complaints. Only had 2 land use permits issued during the month of December and 3 construction permits, which is down from like 15 or 16 a month, prior to that in construction. From the planning standpoint, Linda Fineout resigned as a member of the planning commission at last month's meeting. I guess it was this month's meeting, just last week. The planning commission recommended that this board appoint Charles Shadle to fill that unexpired term. At the planning commission meeting, we talked about short-term rental ordinance, which was a licensing arrangement with people that wanted to short-term rent their home. The planning commission thought there was no perceived need to create an ordinance. Fill in for me here, John.
Right.
Because the complaints of the neighbors are basically noise, disturbance of the peace,
Parking.
things that really already have ordinances.
We've discussed it numerous times at the planning commission, and each time decided to, I shouldn't say wait it out, but maybe that's what I mean, in respect to see what happens. We've had complaints, but very minimal, very, very minimal. And the planning commission decided that if we were to adopt an ordinance or rewrite an ordinance every time there's a complaint, it would be a full-time job. So, not to say we will never do anything with short-term rentals, but at this time it's on hold or we'll check the water.
I thought you guys put out a letter for cease and desist or something like
We
that.
did, and
That's been rescinded?
the one party voluntarily stopped. They did cease renting their place. The other party decided to thumb their nose at us, basically, and they're continuing. Created a website, remodeled their house, so.
Well, and it winds up being also then, if we put up, just like Guy said, if we had an ordinance, how are we gonna enforce it?
Yeah, the sheriff always enforces
Okay.
this.
And if the sheriff was here, let me tell you, I think it's safe to say, he would certainly say he's got bigger fish in the pond to take care of than, too much noise on the beach or too many cars in the parking lot at this residence tonight.
Maybe so, but I can tell you one thing, the department has spent a lot of time up at Pierport this summer, a lot of time.
Well,
For
And
those
they
type-
responded
for
to
those
those
type of
complaints on
things.
Lake Shore.
Is that right?
On Lake
yes,
Shore.
yes.
Anyway, planning commission decided not to move ahead with any kind of ordinance at this time. The other 2 things that are going on in the planning world are the Oak Grove development on the north end of Washington Street. That's pretty much been idle for a couple of months. Nothing's happening. And the other is the solar farm at the Heathlands Golf Course up in near Onekama. That's moving ahead, they're just working on other contracts with, like Consumers Power and their equipment manufacturers and that kind of thing, so that's still moving ahead.
Nothing on the one over on Don's.
Nothing on Don's Road, not a word. So. That's it.
Any questions? Building, zoning? Thanks, Guy. Chuck, anything going on across the street?
Yeah, just a little bit. For December, we had 16 total activities. Fire related were 6, medical were 4, and meeting, station trainings and other activities were 6. Chiefs and officers' hours were about 48, and we had the total complaint hours, all those together, about 35 and a half hours. 131's back up. It was down over the holidays, transmission issues. Over the holidays, kind of hard to get somebody working on it with the way the holidays fell out this year, but it's back up as of yesterday.
Did Accurate take care of that for you?
Yep. Phil, he's pretty good. He had trouble figuring out what it was on that. It's a transmission module controller. They had to order it. Hard to get part, but he got it. So me and Sam took it for a ride, and seems to be working fine. So, which is good. Nothing really going on with the station itself. As far as equipment, the turnout gear that was from the revenue sharing grant that was countywide is finally on order. Should be seeing that here hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Personnel, we're still looking for good people. We have some good people right now, and we're looking at a couple people that are stepping down, going to different jobs, and there's also some folks that don't make a lot of meetings because of work and stuff like that. So we're going to touch base with them in the next couple of months and see if they are going to stay on our training. We continued with driver's training as always, apparatus inspections, and then we did some SOP reviews last month over the holidays. We completed our 2019 training schedule with some automatic joint training with East Lake, and then we had 2 days with the city. And then we have upcoming countywide training we'll be hosting at the station. Will be wildland fire at the end of this month and the first part of February, so you might see a little bit of activity over there for about a week and a half. We're still working on the pre-plan for the casino with Jim Henderson. And then the 23rd of this month, most of the departments are going to get together and do a walkthrough up there in the evening. So that'll be going on up there. Joe is working on, he's just about finished with the Elmer's pre-plan for technical rescue up there in their silos and their equipment, their trucks. And then we had the automatic aid agreement that I had sent to you. I don't know if you had a chance to bring it up tonight. That was looked at by the city's attorney. It was all good. So that was part of the automatic aid agreement, was that we train at least twice a year. So we had that set up already. And then for the year of 2018, we had a total of 308 total calls. 81 were fire related, 144 were medical related, and then 83 were station trainings, meetings, and other activities. And that's a little bit below average. Usually we run closer to 400 on average, so it's a pretty mild year. June and July were the busiest months this year, so. Other than that, that's all.
It's good to hear that 131 is back running, but it's just a Band-Aid,
Yeah.
Any,
And then,
go ahead. Sorry.
no, we're still looking. We got the specifications down pretty much to for replacing that truck. So we'll just have to continue working on that and hopefully get it replaced.
Yeah.
And we never did our pump testing never happened this fall because there was a snafu with the association and the company that used to do it. Somebody dropped the ball in communication, so we're gonna do it in the spring. So, and 131 is right on the borderline of passing, so if we do get a newer truck by the summer, that would be good too, so. Now that we're past the Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, it's time to get back to work.
Yeah.
That was just a reminder that kind of did that to us, so.
Any questions for Chuck or Sam? If not, thank you. Seems like it was a safe holiday for everybody. Make sure you tell everybody to appreciate everything they do over there.
Yeah.
There are no changes with the liquor inspections. Business we need to attend to. Mark, you're up.
Thanks for having us tonight. I guess the main thing, during our board meeting tomorrow, basically we did a detailed evaluation of our current road commission cost share program, working with townships on projects and, different types of work. And we prepared a proposed amended policy, so that's going to be one of our big topic items tomorrow. Especially with the increased revenue from the state, the gas tax increase and vehicle registration fees, stuff like that. So, tomorrow there should be formal board action, I would believe, as far as the policy goes, and which will modify the cost share, what the townships will contribute, and then what the road commission will contribute for the various, types of projects based on the type of job, road classification, etc. So that'll be the big news tomorrow. So, and so, I don't want to totally let the cat out of the bag, but
That's good news.
we do have a very detailed policy, and everything is pretty specific. So it's definitely going to be a a plus, and especially the condition of the roads. We definitely want to try to inspire different townships to work with us, especially on the local road system. We've been doing a lot of work on the primary system, like preservation work and everything, and that only goes so far, and and then you get to the more expensive stage, eventually. So, but we have a lot of local paved roads that are in bad condition, gravel, dirt roads, etc. So, but anyway, that's going to be one of the big topics tomorrow at the road commission. So,
You want to stay for another day?
Email it to me.
FaceTime, John.
FaceTime. Right. I did give you a big pack of information. I'm not going to go through in detail, obviously. It's a lot of information. I mentioned, before the meeting, our rough estimated snowfall to date is roughly about 30 inches, as compared to roughly about 100 inches last winter at the same time. As far as the projects completed last year, we had roughly a little over, say about 54 miles of road preservation work. And a lot of that was on the county primary system, basically blacktop wedging and, chip seal with the fog seal. That's the kind of extended service life, roughly about 6 years, okay? And then eventually a lot of these roads, I mean, we have a lot, and these are actually, it's kind of like a Band-Aid fix, because a lot of these are like on roads that are like what they call Pager 2 or 3, kind of like very poor condition. We're just trying to wedge them up and chip and fog to seal them off and, extend the service life, because that's roughly 50 to 60,000 a mile versus if you grind up and repave, it would be 250 to 300,000 depending on how wide, your blacktop's going to be, stuff like that. So, big bridge project, obviously Red Bridge was, finally completed, open to traffic. They have some minor work to finish this year in the spring. And we had a lot of resurfacing projects, obviously with the M55 Cooley Bridge. Resurfaced about 5.5 miles of Hoxeyville Road, and MDOT participated in that project. I mean, that was like about a $1.4 million, job for resurfacing. Then we did some additional, local jobs, some, rotary gravel and stuff like that. So it was a, pretty busy year as far as, projects go. As far as the proposed work for 2019, at least the tentative work so far, I've kind of given you a list of it, I have to look at it quickly. I think mainly we're looking at doing a lot of road preservation work again, and at least to date we have roughly, I think about roughly 50 miles again, mostly blacktop wedging and chip seal with a fog seal. And then we've got a few townships we've given estimates to, so we anticipate there's going to be probably some additional work added on to that eventually. The paved road conditions, we rated a lot of the major primary roads last year, and we still have a long way to go. A lot of the local roads, they were last rated in 2017, so that's why hopefully with a modified cost share, hopefully either this year or definitely next year, we'll be able to, work with more townships as far as, getting some of those roads back up, at least from a preservation standpoint and whatnot, so. Staffing at the road commission, this year we do have 4 seasonal truck drivers working with us. And at the moment, we have 32 full-time employees. And there's a few, as far as like with seasonals and that, we've shifted a few people around, so I guess be patient with us. I think, like the 4 seasonals, 2 of them worked for us before the last couple of years, and then there's 2 that are new, but they've done, some, blading with a blade truck before, and, we definitely had them out with some of our experienced, truck drivers too, but I'm not sure exactly where they are, but I know, we've had a few shifts, as far as moving people, in different areas, so. Like I said, the packet, I'm not gonna go through in a lot of detail unless there's something specifically. As far as the one report where we had the routine maintenance expenditures for last fiscal year, which would have been fiscal year 2018, which was until September 30th. We, on primary road maintenance, pretty much the pothole patching, sweeping and roadside mowing, stuff like that, traffic signs. We had about 148,000, and a big part of that, we did some preservation work on Shadle Road, okay, that whole section from US 31 back to M22. So that, was a major expenditure. And then as far as local road maintenance, we had roughly about 130,000. So with routine maintenance, including like Shadle Road, about 278,000, in Manistee Township. As far as additional information.
I want to thank you for the warranty work on Olson Road.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Nice job.
We basically redid that project again, so I'm hoping it turned out good, so. And other than that, I had, there was one notice I think I submitted. If you can, maybe that's about basically depositing snow on public highways, so if maybe someplace you can post that.
We did have, we had some back there on the table,
Oh, did you?
There's
Okay.
only one left, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
but if you would like to reiterate that, Mark, because it's
Sure.
really publicized,
Yeah, it's pretty much it's a public act as far as depositing snow on the public highways. We definitely want, if people are cleaning their driveways out, stuff of that nature, we don't want them to be plowing across the road and pretty much, leaving snow and ice and everything within the roadway itself. And, because it can, create a problem, especially a safety concern. And, in most cases, I think the people have been doing a pretty good job. I mean, there are occasions when our maintenance supervisors have to stop and, pay people to visit. They may go ahead and plow the snow right in the shoulder of the road and leave it there. Or like I said, they might leave ridges, across the roadway. But I think, a few years ago, there was actually, I think it might have been up in Grand Traverse County where, one of the trucks actually hit some of those ridges and actually tipped the truck over. So, and you have people, local contractors, you name it, even, private citizens that are, plowing their driveways, and, we just try to educate them. I know we had it, I believe, in the local newspaper, obviously everybody doesn't read the local newspaper, but we try to make sure to, if we see it happening, and if any of you see it happening somewhere, just give us a call, and, we can pay them a visit, and, let them know, so.
Very good.
And I know we did give you, like I said, some estimates here, just some preliminary numbers before. So if there is anything, obviously tomorrow, we'll hopefully unveil the official new cost share, and that will go into effect starting in 2019 projects, okay? And so if there is something you have in mind, you know, we would definitely want you to get on board fairly soon. I know you had, you know, you talked about like Pine Creek as far as, you know, potential road preservation. And if it's something you wanted to do, we're actually taking bids on that project in early February. We do leave the bid documents to where we can add some, you know, some additional roads to it, okay? So, you know, probably, like I said, the sooner the better. I know last year, our 2018 work, we took bids in early February, and then we did add some additional work, you know, afterwards. But chip seal contractors, their window of work is generally like middle of May through the end of August. You know, the paver would, you know, be in first, and then basically, you know, the chip seal contractor, they're working in many areas of the state, so, you know, it's always good, like I said, if you have something that you want to get
You
done.
people do the paving though, right, or no?
No, we will, yeah, we're gonna have probably another 50 miles or so of blacktop wedging and then, you know, basically chip seal with a fog seal. The stuff that was done last year, that was all, basically, the main contractor was Pavement Maintenance Systems from Imlay City. And they, basically, the subcontractor was Elmer's. Elmer's did all the blacktop wedging, you know, like I think it was probably May and June. And then the Pavement Maintenance Systems came in probably, you know, later on, like, you know, late July or August, and did the chip seal work. But it is something that's only with those contractors too, and there's not, you know, many of them in the state either. You know, they have that small window where they can work. So like I said, if, you know, in the near future, in the next month or so, if there's something you want.
Well, excuse me. You and I had spoke about Miller
Yep.
Road, North,
Yep.
what I call North Miller Road.
Mhm.
It's between US 31 and 8 Mile. That road is probably one of the worst roads in the township, but it includes Brown Township,
Yep.
Bear Lake
Townships,
Township, and Oneida Township,
Right.
as well as ourselves.
Yep.
And then the conversation that you and I had is that there's no way that could be put on the schedule for 19
Right.
because of all the survey work.
Yeah, you have
that
to
needs be
design
done.
it and everything, and
What I would like this board to do, and along with you guys, is to set up a schedule for these roads, because we have two big projects. We have that project and we have Pine Creek Road project. Those are two pretty good sized projects that need to be done. I'd like to start the conversation with this board about getting on board and having Pine Creek Road in its entirety, the 4.9 miles, done next year. You've given me a ballpark figure of 205,000, our share.
which is gonna change. Yes.
Yeah. But that's the road that my feelings, you know, we got a lot of bad roads.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to set up a schedule to start doing some work on something
Sure.
every year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it would be my suggestion that that's where we start.
Sure.
Need a motion for this?
Yeah, because we can discuss it if it goes through.
Well, I make a motion that we put the Pine Creek Road project on
For 2019.
for 2019 Road Commission, understanding that at max it's 205, I'm assuming it might be less.
Yeah,
It
well,
won't be that, I promise you.
well,
Sticking my neck out.
all we've given them is ballpark numbers. Yeah, I mean, we feel it's on the high side, but, you know.
Is there support to that?
I live out there, I don't think I should support it.
I'll support.
I abstain.
Then who supported that we do wedging and chip sealing on Pine Creek Road to 4.9 miles in the 2019 construction year or maintenance year, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Discussion, any discussion?
I did want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
The Pacer rating on Do you by chance know when it is on Pine Creek Road? I mean, should we be trying to preserve it, or should we be grinding it up and redoing it?
Well, it depends on how much money you wanna spend.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's
That's why I'm
actually
asking
like
what
a
condition
page
it's
or
in now.
3, okay? There might be, without having it right in front of me, I mean,
Right.
it might be a 2 to 3, I think, live, but I've looked at it multiple times myself, okay? And we did, yeah, in 2017, we did a page rating on it. But we've done, like I said, last year, we did, probably 50-some miles, the same condition. It depends on how much you wanna spend, you can,
okay.
like I said, you can spend whatever I had there, 50 or 60,000 a mile, or if you want to get
250 a
into,
mile, yeah.
right, if you wanted to grind up and repave what's there at, say, just the existing, 22-foot width, it's a, local paved road, so it's not like it has to be, like Cotton Suda, where it's, primary that's 28 feet wide, you name it. I mean, it's less expensive, with 22 feet, but you're still talking, probably 250,000 per mile.
Right.
So you're talking 5 miles, that's a lot of,
Well, it's only been sealed once since it was built.
right, yeah.
And that was a, excuse my language, but a piss poor job. It was a terrible
Yeah,
job.
it
The
was.
road commission was experimenting with oils and experimenting with the aggregates, and it was terrible. And, the road needs to be
Sure,
saved.
yeah.
Well,
And I mean, you
There's a lot
can,
of traffic on it from
Sure,
prison,
sure.
from prison traffic.
sure. I mean, the other option, instead of, basically doing a preservation treatment or the total grind up and repave, is doing a wedge and overlay, okay? You can do a less expensive one, but then you're talking your service life too, okay?
Could be longer that way?
Well, I mean, it would be longer than preservation, yes, but it's all, you're talking, right in the middle. I mean, you might be talking, like I said, instead of spending 250,000, you might spend 150,000 per mile,
Okay.
where you basically wedge it to try to get a halfway decent cross crown to it,
Mhm.
okay? And then say you cap it with 1.5 inches of new blacktop. Your typical service life, if you grind up and repave, is like 15 to 20 years, okay?
Okay.
I mean, that's, generally. And now, like I said, the preservation, you're just maybe extending the service life 6 years or so. Now, when you do a wedge and overlay, you're talking maybe 12, 15 years,
Okay.
So the
it
cost
depends.
difference between the wedge and overlay versus the wedge and chip seal.
Well, you're probably
Maybe
talking
3 times, yeah.
$100,000 difference per mile,
Yeah.
80 to 100,000 a mile difference. So it really depends on what you want to do. I mean, I come from the world of engineering, believe me, when I got in this business about 12 years ago, I started band-aiding. I mean, that's what I call it, because that's basically what it is, because you can't afford to do the grind up and repave. I mean, that's coming from engineering. I mean, I like it when you're doing a real project, because these other ones, for one thing, they're hard to estimate. Okay, but we have enough track history now, you kind of look at the road and this road that was done last year cost X amount, or there was a certain amount of blacktop wedging on it, and that's pretty much all you can do. It's a guess. You got 5 people try to guesstimate how many tons of blacktop for this mile of road, and you're gonna get, 5 different answers. So you just try to hopefully be on the high side. But yeah, you can,
We have so many roads that are
right.
shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if we put all our eggs in one basket,
Right.
that's fine, but
Yeah,
can we get back to it and
right.
maintain it?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, years ago, they'd call it what they call a mix of fixes, okay? So some roads, obviously, you can Band-Aid together, and then there's, like Malark Road that you're
Yeah.
talking about, between, 31 and 8 Mile. I mean, you can't Band-Aid that. It's the only thing you can do is crush and shape and repave.
Is that now a primary road?
Well, it's
Yes.
a primary road, but it doesn't, the funding doesn't magically fall from the sky. Okay, we have like 450 to 500,000 we get through the task force each year. You know, that covers the entire county, you know, the 200 some miles of county.
Is it a major
collector.
connector?
No, that's not even through that stage yet. It's not
Oh, it's not?
officially, that's a federal designation. We gotta go through another hoop on that. But even when that does, it'll be either a minor, classified as far as a minor, rural minor collector, like say Big Four or something else, or else it'd be a rural major collector. You know, the only thing we can use like the federal STP money on would be, you know, the major collectors, 9 Mile, 13 Mile, Coates Highway, you know, some of the other, you know, Cotton Suda Road, stuff like that. And actually that has small urban funding, so. You know, and that-
Well, there's a motion on the floor to put Pine Creek Road on the maintenance schedule for 2019. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried? If you want to put together, well, I'll talk to you some more about it, you know, but get us on the schedule.
One of the other things that Mark was saying, if I could just say a couple of things there also, is the reason why we like townships and municipalities to put their concerns on early, the more job that we can put to the contractors, the better deal we're gonna get. It's just that simple, you know, just like doing in any other version of, you know, the way things are done. And with Pine Creek Road, I think you're doing it the right way, because you got M55 there that relieves a lot of traffic that otherwise maybe, you know, would be absorbed by Pine Creek, but, you know, a lot of it is taken by 55 too. And, you know, and I don't, at least, I don't think that Pine Creek Road is a truck route of any sort. So, you know, there's
Quarter
different,
mile though.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
to improve.
right.
Yeah.
so there's a lot of different ways of looking at things. If you, like you said, Danny, if you put all your money in one road, and in the years that it would take to recoup the money to do other roads, those roads are getting worse, they're not getting any better. So, you know, if you could just stay ahead of the game by preserving, by, you know, wedging, and, you know, a lot of people don't like that saying, wedge and chip seal and fog seal, but, you know, it does work. And you can drive a vehicle over it once you do it. But I guess one of the things I'd like to say is, 4 years ago, when I got involved with the road commission, when people like Jeff, the chair, and the rest of the board saw fit to put me on there, I never realized, I knew it was a big job, I just didn't realize how big it was, because one of my prime objectives, I thought I could just go in there, and if I pushed hard enough, I could get the cost share completely flipped. Well, you know what? I don't know who put it to where it is presently. We're gonna change it tomorrow, I promise you that. But, I shouldn't say it that way, but I got one vote, even though I'm the chair. I still only have one vote, but I think I pushed it enough to where, and so has Mark, where it's gonna pass. So, but we've also been, you know, working on our fleet, and our fleet is getting kind of up there also. We've got some trucks back in the 80s yet, don't we?
Well, no, most, some in the 90s. Yeah,
But
I
I
mean,
mean,
the
some of
average
them you
about
think they
20
are,
years, yeah.
But, you know, when you look at trucks that are costing $250,000, $300,000, and then the maintenance that goes with them, and, you know, we just got through a major contract with the union, and I think it was a great deal that we got. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but now everybody contributes to their pension like everybody else in the county does, and, you know, that's just one little thing, one little highlight. But without rambling on too much here, I think you're gonna see a big change tomorrow on how, once that vote goes through, on how your cost share is gonna be, and hopefully it's gonna inspire townships to be able to, you know,
Start to do the work. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly, that's the whole thing, like I said to Mark, I hope it gets to the point where he can't go home anymore, we got so much work. But you know, we got a lot of roads in this county, and every one of them need work, so, I just hope that we can keep doing a good job. I think we did an excellent job. I'd like to commend all the guys that work there and all the hard work they do to keep the roads maintained, especially in the wintertime, and make it safe for us to ride on. But anyway, John, you're gonna miss a good meeting tomorrow. But I'm sure Danny will update you on that, so. I'm gonna have Mark or Jessica, one of the two, probably Jessica, send out the results to where the townships can get an early look at, you know, we come around just like we're doing tonight, to all the townships, but I want them all to get an early look at what we're doing with our revising our policy to see if we can inspire them to go the route of more updates on their roads also. So anyway, thanks a lot, and thanks for all the patience you guys have shown. And John, you don't throw too many rocks when you come to the meetings. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
Try to behave.
Yeah.
Now on a sour note, road commission issues. I've been watching the trees that are alongside of Lake Shore Road, the ash trees that are dead. They're dangerous, and they're gonna fall on the road. The ones that come to mind are the ones that are just south of the state park restroom there. They're right behind the guardrail. And I'm sure they're gonna fall on the road.
The whole tree, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're ash trees.
I know, oh yeah, absolutely. I know we've been doing a lot of trimming. As a matter of fact, I usually talk to Greg every meeting about that very issue. And, of course, as you're well aware, a lot of the state highway now, we gotta get permission pretty much before we can go in there and cut. We've been very, I thought maybe you were gonna say something about oak trees, and I was gonna say, oh, no, don't tell me. Because we've been very, taking care of, making sure we're not disturbing the oak during the oak growth time and things like that, but how many do you think there is?
I don't know, we'd have to wait.
Okay.
But you're good
We
size.
have, we have to
Good
take a
size.
look at them, I mean, obviously.
I think Greg
Probably
or Brad had
maybe
looked at it
situation.
before.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sure road, there's quite a few too.
oh, yeah. I mean, I've responded on weekends myself where some of those fell from like 100 feet off the roadway, it's like a.
No, I'm fairly confident we're on the road right away.
Well, no, I'm just saying that there's so many trees along Lake Shore, I've seen that.
And maybe in wintertime, I'm not telling you what to do, but maybe in wintertime when the traffic isn't so great, it'd be a good time to get them the hell out.
Yeah, we can. all
The other thing is, as long as you're here and you're here, we have the ongoing problem with the Bar Lake outlet. We don't currently have a drain commissioner right now. The Bar Lake drain runs into Bar Lake. Something's gotta be done. And I'm gonna start that conversation with the county, I'm gonna start it with you, Mark, I'm gonna start it with somebody, because we got 70-year-old people out there digging that culvert out by hand. And somebody's gonna have to accept responsibility, and somebody's gonna have to help with keeping it cleaned up.
Don't you still have a Bar Lake Authority, I think, is what it's
We have
called?
a Bar Lake improvement board.
Okay.
For the good of the lake itself.
Okay. That has nothing to do with,
No.
does it? Okay.
No, we've looked at it many times, it's a big issue, Lake Michigan. You know, the old
That's
stuff
correct.
back in,
That's
I
correct.
mean, we can't reach it with our equipment. You know, there's
But the culvert is yours, Mark.
well, I know it's ours, but not in situations like that, dealing with Lake Michigan, blowing sand back in and everything else.
But without getting into an argument, I'd like to carry on a
Yeah, what are you
conversation.
asking? Yeah.
The culvert is half full of sand, and it needs to be cleaned up. The fellows behind you have gone in there with fire hoses. We've had people go in there with the waders on. We've had people go in there with swimsuits on. This thing's gotta be remedied. It's not gonna go away, and, you know, at least not until the water level goes down. But, we need some.
Has it always been a problem? I guess I'm just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
ask an ignorant question.
It's just a major problem now, Bob, because the water's so high.
Okay.
You go out there in these heavy winds that we got today, and there's waves washing into Bar Lake. But with it comes sand, you know. I wanna have a conversation with all people involved. And just a little trivia, in 1956, there was a bridge there. And there were not, what would I know, I was only 5 years old, but I don't think there was any problem back then when there was a bridge. But they took the bridge out, put the culvert in, faced it to the northwest, right into the teeth of the wind.
Well, and the dunes were
Do you
there
have,
also.
do you have any private property right there?
Alongside, on the south side.
Okay, but is there an issue with any of the private property owners? With, no? Okay, so
Well, there's an
that's,
issue with some of them when they're shoveling, I can tell you that.
Oh,
okay.
well, I'm talking about there's lake.
No, what I was asking about is if we worked out something where we would be going in there, would there be a problem with private property owners saying, get the hell out of here, excuse me? No? Okay.
No, and I have had conversations with Susan Conradson from the DEQ. As long as the spoils are not removed from the site, it can be cleared.
But they can blow onto the road, and we can do something with it.
Yeah.
You know, there's simple solutions there, but in today's society, with all the legal
Oh, yeah.
nonsense,
Yeah.
they complicate. You got to get the Corps of Engineers in there, the DEQ.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
it's a cluster, to say the least.
I know, I've been on the phone trying, but
What-
I'm gonna gather a circle of wagons and do something about
Do
it.
you have any suggestions, Dennis?
I do, but it's costly and time consuming, but we need to keep that channel cleared until the water goes down.
What about you, Jeff? Have you, sounds like you've been involved with it
Well,
more than,
on the peripherals, you know, Dennis and Ken and I had dialogue in regard to it. And, you know, at the moment, this summer, it's been probably dug out by the residents of the lake more than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it's not a solution.
And those residents are getting older that are digging that out. And it needs to be taken care of. It needs to be, responsibility needs to be addressed and we need to take care of it.
you know, we do have a public comment at our meeting, we have 2 of them. You're gonna be there tomorrow, right? So, calm down, Mark. But I mean, if you wanna,
It's
you
not
wanna
an
bring
easy
it up.
situation.
No, it's not.
I understand.
And I'm not in the interest of making enemies with
It
anyone. I
doesn't
just
hurt
wanna-
anything to talk about, it doesn't hurt anything to talk.
We've looked at it multiple times.
Yes, we have.
can-
All right, that's all, anything for the road commission? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Not on the agenda, but something, yes.
Yeah.
I'll bring party hats.
Have a safe trip, wherever you're going.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you.
Bye.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have a hard time getting out of
Might
here.
be outside.
The next item on the agenda that's not on your agenda, but needs to be addressed is, we need to accept the resignation of Linda Fineout from the planning commission. Linda has authored a letter of resignation from the planning commission. Is there a motion to accept her letter of resignation?
I'll make a motion to accept Linda's resignation from the planning commission and also to thank her for her time served.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved, supported that the resignation from Linda Fineout be accepted and placed on file. Along with, we will ask the clerk to draft a letter expressing her thanks for Linda's years of service to the planning commission and the trail committee. And the M22 byway committee. Moved, supported, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Along those same lines, Mr. Shadle has been contacted to serve her unexpired term, which expires in April of this year. And he's expressed interest in serving on that, in that capacity, as on the planning commission.
Correct.
Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Charles Shadle Jr. to the planning commission?
I'll make a motion to appoint Charles Shale to the planning commission for
Unexpired term.
the balance of the present term.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Been moved, supported that Charles Shale Jr. be appointed to the planning commission to serve in the finance unexpired term. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. None opposed? Carried. And we'll also draft a letter to congratulate Mr. Shale. That's what you want to call it. It's nice to have young people interested in what's going on. It's really good, really nice. Anything else? You've received a copy of the bills.
I'll make a motion to allow the bills paid as presented and in the incoming bills for the month of December.
January.
Well, it says December here. I did that last month as well.
Been moved, supported that,
it. No,
no,
I'll
it's not
second.
support. Okay, so now it's been moved, supported that we pay the December bills as provided and the January bill is received. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Manistee County MTA will meet in March. The zoning board of appeals, if there is one, will meet on February 5th. The planning commission will meet Wednesday, February 6th at 7 p.m. here at the hall. The next regular meeting of the Manistee Township Board will be here Thursday, February 14th, 2019 at 7 p.m. at the Manistee Township Hall. Any other comments?
The auto aid, was that good for tonight, or?
I forgot about
Okay. That's fine. I'm sorry. That's all right. No worries.
You don't want to say that on camera.
Well, I didn't want you to forget.
If anything else, if there's nothing else, then the motion's in the vote.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Our support,
Second that.
so no supported, we adjourn. All in favor? Aye. None opposed? Carried, thank you very much.